Hey guys, welcome to the Blue Collar Business Podcast, where we discuss the realest, rawest, most relevant stories and strategies behind building every corner of a blue collar business. I'm your host, Cy Kirby, and I want to help you in what it took me, trial and error, and a whole lot of money to learn. The information that no one in this industry is willing to share. Whether you're under that shade tree or have your hard hat on, let's expand your toolbox. Guys, welcome back to another episode of the Blue Collar Business Podcast. Today we're going down the blacktop. I am really excited. This one's been lined up for a minute. We haven't spent much time in the asphalt world, and I really believe I have brought somebody that is going to be able to show inside and outside, but also the gentleman that possibly could have been on your phone at some point. He's also a media gentleman, just like myself, and he is all over the place from speaking events and is just an overall asphalt awareness advocate, is what I would say. But also, the coolest part about it, he's just like myself and started right there on the back of an apron, pouring asphalt. None other than Marvin Joles. Thank you so much, brother.
Man, thanks so much. That's quite the introduction. I think people probably expected me to have like a chiseled jaw and a ripped physique and some drive pulling up in the Lambo with that one.
Let me roll through some of the stuff here, man, because this is quite the list, dude. You are all over the plate. Owner of Wiscoats since 2004. We're going to go off into that for sure. Host and creator of In the Mix podcast. Be looking for my episode. We're going to be doing one here very shortly. A passion of yours is also contributing to magazines like Pavement Maintenance and Reconstruction Mag, Allied Paving Equipment Publication, and you're a committee member on NAPA, which is National
Asphalt Pavement Association.
There you go. I've seen you all over there, and I know you do some speaking events. Man, thank you, number one, for not just going through the motions in business, getting to a point, and this is kind of where I think we connect message-wise, because we were like, man, our industry kind of sucks. And if nobody's willing to sit here and talk about it, we ain't never going to get anywhere. So, dude, thank you, number one.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I appreciate you having me on. Yeah, I think when I look back at like that list, it's like, I don't know. I think for somebody who really didn't want to do a whole lot when he was younger, I think I found the easiest way to do a whole lot, in my mind. And the hardest part of it all has been owning the construction business, like owning a blue collar business. Like that's been the hardest part. And even not knowing anything about media sales, marketing, how this all works, it was still easier than actually doing the blue collar work. Like you and I were talking about it before the podcast. Like there's guys who have not sweated their ass off on a driveway or a parking lot or a road or in a field or wherever, and yet they are hosting podcasts or seminars or whatever about how to build your business and your asphalt business. And it's not that they don't know anything. It's not that. And I do have respect for people that do it. The thing that you and I were talking about is like when you're in a room and it's really easy for you to pick out who the real ones are and who the real ones aren't. And there's just something that's an unspoken camaraderie of like, if it comes down to us having to work 14 hours straight in 100-degree heat, I know who's going to do it and who ain't. And it's a real short list, man.
Dude, and your circle gets smaller and smaller. But yeah, man, you're exactly right. When you're standing in that room, especially when you bring media into this spotlight, and
which is essential now. It's essential.
100%. And I think we're way ahead of the curve, and doing both is probably, just like you said, man, one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. I was literally seeking guidance, had a phone call with a mentor advisor on Monday. I'm like, I've got these 5 branches around me right now. And I'm like, oh my Lord, maybe talk a little bit, truly about starting in the early years, 2004, you decided to be in the blue collar world before it was quote unquote trendy, and talk about, where you started to navigate into media.
Yeah, man, I'll give you the origin story. It's easier to figure out how I got here if I kind of tell you how it started, right? I grew up in one of the very rural areas in Wisconsin. Not a whole lot, a lot of farmland, a lot of stuff like that. And I was essentially orphaned at 2 weeks old. And my grandmother took me in. My parents were really young. So it wasn't like they were people that had a kid and was like, we don't want this kid. It was just like a kid. It was kids having kids, which is common nowadays. But my grandmother took me in. And as cool as that is, it really wasn't the best situation overall either. We grew up pretty impoverished, I would say. I never did without. I wasn't hungry. There was always a roof. Sometimes it leaked, but there was always a roof. And I always had clothes. Sometimes I wore them until they were really tight, but I always had clothes. And at about, growing up, I had a friend, still have a friend. His name is Luke. And Luke's dad owned a roofing company 2 doors down. His family was related to my family. And Luke and I were salt and pepper. His dad called us salt and pepper. I get really dark in the summer. So you kind of question, you might be questioning what my ethnicity is now. In the summer, you question whether it's a different one. If I don't get to take those southern vacations, work vacations in the wintertime, then you really wonder where if I have a trust fund or not. So what happened was when I was about 12, we were starting to put on some size. Luke, a little bit of size. And Jack his name's Jack. Just seen him here a few weeks ago. It's really cool. I get to go to wrestling events in Wisconsin still and see him. But he owned a roofing company and we were 2 strapping young men. And the worst part of doing roofing is picking up shingles off the ground, bro. It's the worst damn thing. And he was like, hey, you want to come do this? And I was like, I don't know. And he said, well, Luke's coming. I said, all right, cool. I'll go then. So Luke and I started picking up shingles, man, when I was 12 years old. And Luke did it because his dad told me he had to. I did it because Luke was going. When we got done for that first day, I picked up shingles for about 8 hours straight. Jack handed me a $20 bill, and it was in the heat. And that $20 was the most money I'd ever seen with my real own eyes. Like that would ever been in my hand. And I was like, whoa. And I said, hey, can I come back tomorrow? He said, yeah, you can come back tomorrow. So I was always a little sharp. Being 12 years old, I'd done a lot of math at that point. I said, man, if I do this for 5 days, I can turn this into a $100 bill. I've never seen a $100 bill in real life. I'm going to do that. So I did that and had a $100 bill and just worked with Jack all summer long, picking up shingles, picking up cedar shakes, that are underneath shingles, like way back when. Because in Wisconsin, that side of the country, a lot of people haven't got their roofs done since then. So we were picking up just dusty old cedar shingles and asphalt shingles, throwing them in a dump trailer. Luke and I pick up a wheelbarrow, dump it in there, dump it out. I can't tell you how many squares of shingle we picked up. And then after a while, after a couple of years of it, we'd be at school and my friends would be working. They'd be like, how much you make? Well, then we started talking about money. I was like, shoot, I think I'm undervalued. So, I go to Jack and I'm like, hey, can we get some more money for we're working? I'll do other stuff. I'll lift shingles up on the roof. I'll do whatever. So slowly Jack started to pay us what we deserved. I feel like, I never had a complaint about whether Jack paid me enough or not. Right. But what I did start to do, which I didn't really realize it was unnatural, is I was really curious about how Jack got to do whatever he wanted to do whenever he wanted to do it. But he worked a lot too. Right. And then I started figuring out he doesn't live a life like most of my friends, his parents. How do you do this? How do you charge people? How do you know what to charge them? Where do you buy the stuff from? How do you know how much it's going to cost? And how do you pay? What do you do for taxes? Like, do we have insurance? All this stuff. And that's really where my curiosity for entrepreneurship started. And Jack thankfully was like, well, this is how we do it. This is how we do that. And it was a family business. And when I was 18, so they did roofing and they did seamless gutters. I didn't necessarily enjoy the gutter stuff. I hated walking up ladders and having to hold stuff all awkward. I've always been thick. So I'm not really nimble at the top of a 20 or 40 foot ladder. But once in a while, he would get a call for seal coating asphalt. And I loved doing that. and we would take that rig out and do it, but we didn't do it very often. And one day I just asked Jack, I'm like, why don't we do it? And he's like, man, it's just got such a bad reputation of people like going around, not doing great work. And I was like, and that stuck in the back of my mind. And we had to do a project when I was in high school for my ag class. I had no intention on doing ag. The real thing was I had failed algebra 2 junior year, and we only needed 2 math credits to graduate, and I already had them. But I needed to pass in order to get out of school. So I took ag. And in that ag class, we had an assignment to build a business based around agriculture. And I just went ahead and was like, blacktop is everywhere. Tractors are driving up and down farm lanes. They're parking in parking lots at Farm and Fleet Farm and all these other places. And I'm going to build a business that's designed around installing asphalt in agricultural areas, that's designed for milk trucks and tractors and all that stuff, and then being able to maintain it. And it ended up being a good business design. So right out of high school, I went and took some classes at the University of Wisconsin for maintaining asphalt surfaces. I had no intention on getting any type of degree or doing anything, but I wanted this certification just to understand kind of how the rest of the world thinks about it. And I started working right then and there, doing asphalt maintenance, asphalt work. And literally, man, when I started, I was using cold pour crack filler and was putting them on by hand, doing driveways started. And when I started doing parking lots, I had a little aerosol cart striper. And as the years went on, we just progressed, and I never looked back. And that's how the ball started, with actually getting into the asphalt side of things. And we did some weird stuff. I mean, for a number of years, we put that hot rubber crack sealant that goes in the cracks around the base of grain bins, because the grain bins would move and then they would lose air pressure, and they'd spend time trying to heat and dry this grain, but they were losing it out of the bottom. We put that rubber around the bottom of grain bins, sealed them down, and then the farmers would spend less on propane, get better air pressure and better dryer quality, keep bugs out and stuff like that. So you get some weird requests. Right now, Wisconsin's in the second largest population in Richland County, Wisconsin, and it's 700 people. So there's not a lot going on, bro, over there. So we have to travel quite a bit and do all that stuff. So we learned how to adapt. The biggest thing that was the key factor for us, and we can get into, is social media marketing. When I first did it, that's really what separated me from having to work my ass off all the time to being able to pick and choose and really design a business rather than just say yes to everybody.
So you're based in Wisconsin, you start up there picking shingles up, dude, for $20 a day. And old Jack, he was getting the worst job ever covered for $20 a day, not having to piss off any of his good roofing guys. And
he was smart, man. He knew that he would do it. Jack would get down and pick up shingles with us.
Of course he would.
But man, he was a shingling son of a bitch. Yeah. I mean, when I was in my prime, after he taught me everything I could do, and I was putting down shingles and cutting and moving, and I still could keep up with him. And he was 63, 65 years old. I could not keep up with him. He would not let you. His pride would not let you beat him. And dude, he was a roofing son of a bitch. That's all there is to it. One of the, if not the best, one of the best I'd ever seen in my life.
It seems like, thank you, number one, for sharing that story, man, because it's the influences in our life. I think I speak about it every episode. It's so common. Everybody comes in and they have that one person. They're like, man, that guy, like, he was teaching me and I didn't even know I was being taught.
Saturday, Sunday, we stayed until the job gets done. And, my son Eli comes to work with me, and Eli knows we're not leaving until the job's done.
That's right.
So if you're going to be slow in the morning, you're going to be on a long day going into the night. If you're going to be slow in the afternoon, it's still going to be long. So Eli now, like, we get guys on the job site with us, and Eli's like, don't they understand that we're going to be here all effing day?
It's just crazy. And then you see, the seal coating trailer just sitting over to the side, and then all of a sudden you would go do one or two, and you enjoyed it, I'm assuming, from the accomplishment factor of seeing,
Yeah. It's one of the most satisfying jobs there is.
All right.
Yeah, totally.
And so you went to college, which is a definite little different path. Did you graduate?
Dude, I didn't go very far. I took that one certification class.
Good.
My only thing was I want to know what municipalities, cities, and government officials think. That way, when I'm quoting to work, I can put myself in their shoes. And we learned great processes and whatnot. And there was a little bit that I was able to take. I learned more. I used it more in my latter years than I did my earlier years. But when you show up in Wisconsin, which is go Badgers, everything, and you're like, we're certified by the University of Wisconsin. They were just like, oh, you're the guy. Yeah, you're the guy.
So take us through, 700 people in a county. You probably don't have a whole lot of local work. How did you, talk about, the social media aspect of it and landing jobs, but at the same time, talk a little bit about the logistics. I know there's probably a few guys sitting there going, I travel every week. I don't, thank you, Jesus. But at the same time, talk about how to navigate those logistics to go make some money. It's hard.
Yeah. So what ended up happening, we had trouble because people didn't know. It was hard for them to trust what they didn't know. So when Facebook came out about 2013, I started making videos at the asphalt plant or the seal coat plant, showing us putting the seal coat in and filling it up to the top, being like, there's no way we're going to be able to add any water or any mixtures. And it came right from the manufacturing plant. Now we're going to go to our job. Stay tuned. In an hour, I'm going to show you a video of us applying it. And we would go to the job and I would show them how to apply it. Then later on in the day, when I go back, I'd show another video being like, this is the end result. This is what it looks like. Then I would show a video 2 weeks later of me going back, being like, look, it still looks brand new. And then I did that all year and I started to build up trust. And I was smart enough that the next year I would go back when we'd go buy it. You know, those jobs you go by them with your family, like I did that when we were there, kids. I would stop and I'd be like, hey, you all remember this job from last year? Look at it. It still looks fantastic. And when that started happening, all of a sudden, anywhere we would go, anytime asphalt got mentioned on a Facebook post or anything, we were it. We were the one, right? So immediately it gave me two things. It gave me validity, right? People buy from people they know, like, and trust. They knew us already because I had already introduced myself online. They liked that we took care of. I also showed anything that we did not for profit for the community, right? They liked that we did that, so they liked us, and then they just trusted us. They knew that my business is right there next to their home. My kid goes to school with their kids, and we would show all that stuff. So the strategy of showing personal stuff along with business stuff in a rural area really put us to the cream of the crop because any competition that was there wasn't even doing anything like that. So it shot us up. We watched our revenue, to talk numbers, we watched our revenue 4, 5, 6x in probably a year and a half. Yeah. So it was preposterous. I went from a truck and one helper to having 8 to 10 people. We had our own office. We got our own yard. We started getting material supply in bulk. And now thankfully, we have a really good foothold right there. And it's lasted multiple decades now, right, as we got into it. But that's really where the social media stuff started. The weird turn through all of it is that when I started posting that, nobody else in the asphalt industry was posting on social media. So the only thing that people would see if they typed in asphalt or they were on social and typed anything in would be my content. My comment section on my business posts became the community for the asphalt industry to talk. And for me, I was like, this is not a good thing, because when I would put down crack filler, people would be like, you don't need crack filler. And they were in Louisiana. I'm in Wisconsin. We need it, right? Or we would put down, we wouldn't put sand in it, right? And they'd be like, oh, you got to have sand in it because of this, wherever they are. You need to fill this in because you're not doing crack filling. So it was a lot of differences. And I was like, my clients are going to see this and think that we don't know what the hell we're doing when we do. So I started writing articles for Pavement Magazine. At first I got interviewed by Pavement Maintenance Magazine, and they were like, tell us about how to use social and why you're growing. Thank God for Jessica Lombardo, who now is one of the leaders of Pavex and still has such a huge role with those magazines, for giving me that interview. I remember having that conversation with her, being like, I'm about to do some big stuff in this industry. And she did too. So it's really great. But that led to getting invited to speak about social media at some of these events. And then that led to me writing more articles, more speaking invitations. And then I started doing interviews at these conferences on the cool stuff that's coming out for us. Cause I'm still a contractor that loves badass equipment and cool stuff, dude. So I would show that and be like, hey, y'all, check this stuff out. Cause I wanted to see what other people thought and shit too. And that led to people asking me to start a podcast called Blacktop Banter it was about 2019. It was right around when COVID started to hit. And I had threw around the idea a year before and was like, forget it. I'm not doing it. And I recorded one podcast called the Pavement Podcast. The audio sucks. It's still on Apple if you're going to dig in and go find it. But it took me a full year before Blacktop Banner came out. And when Blacktop Banner hit, it was the same thing. I started Facebook groups 5 years before that just blew up. It was the same thing, Blacktop Banner. Within 6 months, we were in 30 some countries with about 50,000 listens. At its height, we were in 50 countries with about 70,000 listens. And then sponsors started to kick in. All of a sudden, we were doing event hosting. I was getting paid just to go places, speak, hang out, to interview people for their companies at their booths at ConExpo. And we had our name on a NASCAR truck for a Mid-Ohio race. I interviewed NFL stars, combat athletes, Major League Baseball players. Was just crazy, dude. It was nuts. And in the meantime, we're still seal coating, paving, crack filling, line striping. It's been crazy. It's been a crazy run. And we caught lightning in a bottle, I feel like, with that. And then once we got into the dirt world, started working with our friend Aaron, whose studio I took over today. They're building something amazing on a whole different trajectory with the Dirt World Summit by BuildWit. And once I started working with him and working with them to get the asphalt industry to Dirt World Summit, it opened up some doors in the dirt world, and we made a shift in the mix because there's a lot going on. It's not, we just don't talk about blacktop anymore. We talk about a lot of stuff. So it's pretty cool, and we're really happy. We're going to be at PaveX here next week, and then we're going to be at ConExpo this year. I'm hosting the podcast live at ConExpo, which is just crazy to me, man. I'm speaking still about social media at ConExpo. We're interviewing some of the biggest brands in the world there, and it's just a crazy thing, dude. I met Bones Jones. You know who Bones Jones is? Johnny the Bones Jones, UFC, greatest of all time. Of course. Yeah. I met that guy. That's craziness, dude. Through this type of stuff, it's craziness. So, I think I just don't quit. It's from Jack, way back when, saying like, we're not leaving until the shingles are picked up. So every day I just don't quit. It's not that I'm a workaholic. It's just, I'm ingrained with it now. Right. So obviously, this, that's what puts you in front. You just keep your head down and grind every day. You don't got to be perfect, dude. It's just the grind, and the grind puts, all of a sudden you poke your head up and you're like, how the hell did I get here? And how can I sleep easier at night now? This is good. After 2 decades, I hope you're there anyways, if you've been in business for 2 decades. So yeah, it's been a crazy journey, man. I don't know. I still am amazed sometimes. Just like, how the hell?
I've been in business a decade, so I'm in the
Congratulations.
First half.
You're over the hump. Yeah.
Yeah, decade this August, and we're in the middle of it, figuring out all the bad experiences and all the mistakes I made as an owner and as a leader and a manager.
They're not over yet.
No, I totally understand. I ain't figured out half of it yet, but man, I've got a good understanding of where I went wrong, at least, and making corrections and putting those processes in place. But dude, you're exactly right. We just hit our 3-year anniversary on the Cyclone YouTube channel, and the places it's taken me. We're also filming the Blue Collar Business Podcast live from the show at a couple of different booths, and it's pretty insane. The people that take Aaron, for example, was watching him 5 years ago when he was just out there doing, media. That's it. That's all he did. And then, fast forward to this year, he was our kickoff episode of the year talking about, we really dove into Dirt World, and that's where I was going with that. And the impact it had on me specifically, like it messed it, like Randy, I don't know if you've taken time to listen to that episode, but Randy Gravette and Winning at Home, we really dove off into that, and that completely changed me. But no, the people that we've met out there, it was through making a video. Like, I don't know if people understand what we're sitting here going. Like, we didn't do anything special, guys. We picked up the phone. Now, granted, Marvin here did it in 2013 before it was freaking cool, before it was trendy, before any of this stuff. He was way early to the starting gate.
I had at least one good idea in my lifetime. At least Marvin had one good idea.
But essentially, paved the way, no pun intended, for other creators like myself to go, man, that's really freaking cool. Why am I not doing that? Who does it in the pipe world? You start looking around and you're like, well, there ain't many people that do this. Okay, well, maybe I have the responsibility now to do this.
Yeah, well, that's what happened, right? I'll tell kind of why I even thought of doing it, why I had the idea is the year before in Wisconsin, you get a lot of snow. If you work in construction, you snowplow. Like, that's it. And I was like, I do not want to do that. I do not want to do snowplowing. And then all of a sudden I was like, shit, I got to do something in the winter. I guess I'll look into how to do snowplowing and snow removal. And I found this guy's channel on Instagram named Stanley the Dirt Monkey Genetic.
Oh,
and he had so it was a video about getting into snow removal. And on the right were the suggested videos on YouTube. And I seen it said, kid flies drones, gets 17,000 followers on Instagram. I click it, and the kid was Blake Albertson from B&B Lawn Care in Kansas City. And all of a sudden I was like, whoa, 17,000 views, 17,000 followers. I was like, whoa. I didn't know what that meant. I just knew that like 17,000 people was a lot, dude, to watch your stuff. And I was like, how are they doing this? So I went to what was called the GIE Expo then, which is now called the Equip Expo. And when I got there, the green industry had a community. It had multiple creators, and they were working together. They were collaborating, and they were creating YouTube videos. YouTube was the big thing. YouTube and Vine essentially were the only two things. But Blake's drone videos had him as the hot new thing. Dude, everybody does drones now. But what I learned there was things that I knew how to do to start doing what I was going to do in the asphalt industry, creating community, as you said, paving the way, quote unquote. They did it in the green industry a little bit before I did. And I had a really good mentor, still do from time to time. His name's Keith Kalfas. And Keith, in my mind, doesn't get enough credit. He's a little eccentric like myself. We think of high philosophical stuff. Our stuff isn't super sexy, but it's good stuff. And Keith was a great mentor to me early on. And he really took, how do I want to put that? He took stock in my success and it really analyzed my social media career before I even knew it was a social media career. He knew it was going to be. Stanley Genetic knew it too. He was like, you're going to be the asphalt guy. He's like, you don't even have to do very much. There's no one else in your lane. It's not like the green industry. He's like, you are going to be it. And they kind of gave me the idea something's better than nothing and just build it as you go, get better as you go. And that was Keith's big thing. Like he's like, dude, just post all you can, all you want. So I did. And I had an anxiety attack for the first time. And I didn't even know what anxiety was, but I started freaking out thinking that my neighbors and my friends in this small community are going to think I'm crazy for posting this stuff. And I took down the first week of YouTube videos that I put out and I called Keith. I'm like, I can't do this. I think it's whatever. And Keith's like, no, you didn't take them down. I was like, yeah, I did. He's like, you're going to regret that. I was like, why? He's like, because you're going to be the best asphalt content creator ever. You're going to be the first. People are going to look back and want to see how it started. And now they're going to miss a week because you decided to get rid of it. So from then on, I never deleted anything. And I still had bad anxiety and panic attacks. There's times where I didn't come out of the house for 2 weeks after I would post stuff. I was so worried that people were going to be like looking at me and be like, what an idiot, right? And here I had built this successful, and our area was already successful. Before I 4X'd it or 6X'd it, it was already successful in our area. You don't make that kind of money usually in our area. And I'm like, I just threw that all away for what? For a chance that people are going to see my content? What the hell does that even matter? So my brain really started going through all this stuff. But Keith Kalfas really talked me into and off of a lot of ledges and kept things going. He's still out there. He's still a great guy. I was so fortunate. We hosted an event at KM International in Michigan, and I got to have him come up and be the keynote speaker. at that event, which was just a full circle moment for me that I absolutely love. He's fantastic. So when I seen that though, I brought that over to our industry. So I had some really good guidance, even though they weren't hands-on. I was able to observe the green industry, and I really started to mold that. But the problem was I was the only one in my industry who had seen what's possible. So I had to get the other media outlets on board, like National Paving Expo, PaveX. I had to get the magazines on board. I had to let them give me opportunities. And then I had to translate all that into a way that sponsors, OEMs, other people who had traditionally advertised through the magazines or at conferences seen value in what I was doing to put money towards it, because I'm essentially trying to make them do something that they hadn't done in the 50 or 60 years that this business has existed. And I realized it was going to be incredibly hard. Keith Kalfas was like, you're going to take a lot of arrows. You're going to take a lot of beatings. People are going to ridicule you a lot because they don't know what you're doing. He's like, and you're just going to have to deal with it. He's like, what's the alternative? Be an old man and look back with regret? And that's really what made me keep going, was him thinking, you do not want to be an old man and have regret that you didn't do it. He's like, you're going to know that this was your moment and you didn't do it. And I was like, holy shit. Okay.
We have two people to freaking answer to at the end of this lifetime, and that's yourself and the big man above. And
yeah, I had I just had my son, and I was like, is my son going to look back at me and be like, yeah, he didn't do anything, and he could have.
I talk to that 75-year-old rocking chair porch sitting version of myself a lot, dude. And that's literally, I got a crappy decision to make. Both ways suck. Sitting there, I'll sit there and talk to that guy. What are you going to be proud of doing?
What are you happy with?
Angle? Exactly. What,
yeah.
I mean,
I'm gearing myself up. I only need sweet tea, a small cabin, and some warmth. So if I don't make it, I've talked to that guy. I'm like, dude, you're going down this road and it might not be fruitful. Are you going to be okay with that? So I'm already starting to be okay with the simple things in life.
It's really weird navigating and pioneering these channels, resources and educational methods, because, there is laughter and funny moments that I share, you share, but there's also, we're trying to educate and bring awareness to what our market is. And you started obviously a lot further along than I did, but even to your point now in my local market, if, say one or two of the real big companies around might have flown a drone and thrown up on social, but up till 3-4 years ago, there was nothing, like zero, zilch. And I couldn't find many pipe guys. Number one, they're all too scared to post anything online because they're scared of OSHA and everything else. Don't get me wrong. I am too, but we really...
How many people actually got busted by posting stuff on social?
Man, I don't know, bro.
Yes.
I mean, I think zero. I mean,
Isn't that crazy that we think that way?
It's
Why
don't get
are
me
we so
wrong.
scared? You know what I mean? That's like when the cops come around and people are like, whoa. And I'm like, what did you do? They're like, nothing. I'm like, then what the hell are you doing that for?
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, I do, because it's such an unnatural feeling, and I can relate so hard to that first week of online posting, dude. The ridicule I
buddy.
got.
And it comes from the closest people first. It sucks.
Talk about it, dude. It makes me so mad.
Yeah.
I have so many supporters from all over the world and here in the States, but my local town and even some of my family, like, I know they love talking about, they call me the podcaster. He's not a contractor. He's more focused. Man, I just left a sewer manhole about an hour before I got in here to the studio to talk to Marvin on a sewer core and looking at and adjusting a manhole. No, I promise you, I'm freaking living it and breathing it. But
I think that's always happened. Yeah, I think that's always happened for anybody that's done anything from the beginning of time. I mean, there's quotes that go back hundreds of years, thousands of years about people who didn't believe in others and able to achieve whatever. I think it's just human nature. What I've come to realize for the most part, most of the time people who say that didn't take a shot at doing anything, and it's coming from a place of like jealousy or regret. So I started to feel bad for him, honestly, because I'm like, dang, dude, you're going to be that old person.
It definitely took me a minute to get to that point, but I can relate to that too, because I'm like, man, you really dislike every single video that I put out. You really don't have any time in your hands. Like, you're watching
sad.
it anyway.
Yeah. I think, what's going to happen is most of those people are going to get to the end of their life and they're going to have a nice 401k and maybe have a condo in the Gulf Shores, and that'll be it. There won't be like them being like, man, I went everywhere. I did all this stuff. I took a shot and, climbed the. I was telling somebody the other day, I compare it all to climbing a mountain. The higher you climb the mountain, the less people are there. And the harder it is. It's harder to breathe. It's harder to climb. The colder it is, the lonelier it is. But no one comes back saying, I climbed halfway up Everest. No one says that shit. The only people that ever say anything is when they come back and be like, yeah, I climbed the mountain. I was on top. You never hear no one writes a book of saying, yeah, I made it to base camp and then I went home. You know what I mean? No one says that shit. There is none of that. I think I was talking to my boy Eli the other day. He's been working his ass off to wrestle in the Tennessee State Championships. He's #1 freshman in the state. He's top 5 wrestling freshman in the state at 138. Not even top 5 freshman. He's top 5 at 138. He's wrestling people that are 19 years old, going to be 19 years old, going to college. And last weekend, he got a concussion at team state. In 2 weeks, as individual state, he won't clear concussion protocol to wrestle at state. 2 years in a row, he's missed state championships, and he's arguably one of the best wrestlers in the state, which means he's probably one of the top 200 or 300 in the country. He's going to England to wrestle and stuff here. But we were talking about, he's going to England to wrestle for Team USA end of March, I think, beginning of April. Just a badass. But I was talking to him about that. I was like, he loves watching like wrestling documentaries and reading wrestling books and stuff. I'm like, how many of those do you see where the guy won every match, won the title, and that was it? He's like, not very many. I was like, why? He's like, they're not interesting. I was like, bingo. I was like, that's why you have to keep going. I was like, you want to know the valleys. You have to speak about the valleys if it's going to be a life that's well lived and that's going to be something that people are going to be inspired about. I mean, that's just all there is to it. No one wants to see that stuff. Cale Sanderson had 159-0 record in NCAA wrestling, has yet to have a movie made about him. One at all. Has not had a movie made about him. There's been multiple movies made about people who have had big struggles. If they were deaf or they were born. I had a guy on my podcast named Ben Kerr, and he was born with a disease that causes your face to get like really deconstructed, and he had to have surgeries and put it all back. And people ridiculed him just awful about the way he looked. Guy ends up becoming 3-time state champion, NCAA All-American twice, right? And it was just he just had a movie made about him that came out nationwide called Standout, and I was like, that's the type of shit I want to see. Those are the types of stories that are good, and I think in the business side of stuff, you go talk to Herb Sargent, you talk to Randy, you talk to all these guys that are the CEOs of some of the largest companies in the world, owners and founders. I promise you that there's going to be part of that story that nobody would want to live. Every time.
It's funny. I said earlier in the show, I was talking to one of my advisors. I was on the phone with Herb on Monday, and I wasn't ready for what he had to say.
With Herb?
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta be on your toes all the time, bro.
he gave it to me straight, big dog. And you know what he told me? He said, "Si, I'm only questioning what you're questioning me, and I just know different questions to ask you to make you think." Anyhow, you're exactly right. And some of the stories, not from him specifically, just anybody that's actually made it, what they've had to go through personally, professionally, people, equipment, the whole nine, people screwing them over, everybody. Like, same here, man. Like, I've I've shared that portion here with the audience many times, and man, it's tough to take. But you're exactly right, dude. Nobody wants to care about the guy that. I mean, dude, it's unbelievable to go 159-0. That is literally like exceptional. But at the same time, if there's no struggle, if there's no emotional pull, but that can be really related into business, man, is that emotional pull. And I know you're on LinkedIn yourself, and I tell these guys all the time, LinkedIn is a weapon for you to do that exact thing. And it's mixed that professional and personal line and I have just committed to doing it. I've been my first month of posting every day through January, and I'm going to try and continue it through the year. But man, it's so crazy. I write up this great professional post, and I put some time in, and it gets like 5 or 10 likes. But if I write something about how me and my boy, and there's a picture of me and him, and man, these peaceful moments on the weekend is what I work so hard for. Bing, 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 bing. Everybody relates to it. And it's really started, don't get me wrong, there's the LinkedIn channel, but you can also do the same thing on TikTok or the same thing on Meta, or it's just different iterations and variations. But telling your story is probably the most crucial thing you can do right now. As we learned at Dirt World, Jesse Cole and Aaron come out, boom, punched us in the face. Why are you guys not telling your story? The rest of the world is telling how infrastructure is made and how roads are paved and how it's constructed, and the men and women that the designers, the installers, everybody that, was a part of that story needs to be able. You guys need to know that they're there. Your roads don't just appear. There's dirt guys, there's pipe guys, there's utility infrastructure that has to move in order for that road to be placed there. There's easements, there's engineers. Like, there's so many different iterations of what to be able for you to pave a road, me to move a pipe.
Yeah, and I can't do mine until you do yours.
Exactly.
And you ain't gonna get the job unless there's somebody like me. I mean, we talk about it a lot here. Being where I'm from originally now, we still have our business there. I still have a home there. But we're outside of Nashville now. My wife, Nikki, works for BuildWit, and she has a huge task of putting the Dirt World Summit together every year. It's a monumental task, right? But when the first one started to go, I came down here not to say anything about BuildWit, but I had emailed a bunch and called a lot of times and I didn't get a response. I wanted to pick Aaron's brain about what he was doing and just see how it looked compared to what I was doing at Blacktop Banter, just because I wanted to compare notes and how I was doing it right. Because I went from behind the green industry to in front of the green industry really quick because I seen how they did it wrong, and I didn't do that within my industry. Even when we built the community, I didn't do that. So I went from behind them to in front of them really quick, and the only person I could see in front of me was Dirt Talk, Aaron Witt, and at BuildWit. So I came down here and knocked on the door here and was like, hello. And a short blonde haired girl comes around the corner. She's like, can I help you? I was like, yeah, I'm here to talk to Aaron. She's like, does he know you're here? I'm like, no. She said, do you have an appointment? I'm like, no. I've called and I've emailed a lot. I was like, I'm from Wisconsin. I drove 10 hours. I just want to ask him a couple questions. Right. And she's like, well, he's recording a podcast right now. We can't do that. We don't do that. And I was like, well, I'll be back tomorrow then. Well, he's not going to be here tomorrow. I said, well, then I'm going to wait. She's like, well, we're all going home. It's like 3:30 and we don't stay here very late. I'm like, here's my card. Please, I need to get in touch with him. Fast forward 6 months. I had never heard anything, but Blacktop Banner had just kept on trucking, dude, doing that grind I was telling you every day. And Jason Richmond from BuildWit calls. Hey, Marvin, we could use some help getting the Asphalt guys over to this thing we're doing called Dirt World Summit in Houston. Will you help us out? I said, yeah. Get on my first video call. A lot of people on there. I see the short blonde haired girl too that was kind of ornery to me here at BuildWit the first day I came here. I see Jason, Randy, a bunch of other people. And we talk about Dirt World Summit. We do it, get past it, get geared up for the second one. In the meantime, World of Asphalt's here in Nashville. Blacktop Banner has grown huge by then. We have a booth at the World of Asphalt. Hundreds of people around, people trying to stop by. Jason stops by and says, hey, come by a mixture at BuildWit. The short blonde-haired girl was walking around with another crew of camera people and was like, I was like, hey, are you going to be at the BuildWit thing? She said, yes, Marvin, you idiot. I host it. Follow up. Her and I started talking this last April. Nikki and I got married. So the short blonde haired girl who was ornery to me the very first time I got here is now my wife. And so we're based here in Nashville now. She grew up here. She is here. So we get both sides of the coin. And one thing Aaron and I talk about from time to time is just the changing dynamic of social media and business, and how we're always going to have to be grinding because everything around us is changing all the time. It's similar to like, this side, your equipment's going to break down. It's going to break down. A job's going to go wrong. A pipe's going to break. This is going to it's not like things are just going to be perfect no matter how many years, no matter how much revenue you make. It's not going to be perfect ever. So it's just par for the course. And for you to be like, hey, I'm posting every day. I'm going to post every day. It's the same thing as getting up and put your boots on every morning. You do it because you have to do it, because that's part of the recipe for quote unquote success, for providing for your family. And the hard news is that people don't want to swallow the fact that they should be content creators. They don't want to have to do that. Here's this other thing that I don't want to have to do. I already have to interview people for this job, and I got to pay insurance, and then I have to make claims, and we got to work in the shitty weather and do all that stuff. I don't care, man. Jack doesn't care. Jack said we're not leaving the job till the shingles get picked up. Like, that's it. Like, we have to do it. And this is something, if you say you want to build a successful construction business, you have to be doing media at some point. If not, you're in an area that I want to go to, and I'm going to move in there and do social media and knock you in the dirt.
I'm in one of the fastest. So you come from an area, 700 in a county. We have 40 residents every single day, a year, moving here. Northwest Arkansas, home of Walmart, home of JB Hunt, home of Tyson Chicken in 2 counties.
JB Hunt's there?
Oh yeah, man.
Oh, I didn't know that.
There is, man, Walmart just built a huge 350 acre campus.
Oh, that tracks.
Yeah. And so anyways, they're bringing all these vendors. It's just what this place has blown up to be in the last 20 years. It's a pop-in place. It's in every trendy magazine, bro. Right? That's cool. But to your point, bro, it's so much easier to sell work when you market. And it doesn't have to be these cringy AI. Look, and I've done it. I can sit here and tell you, because while I was trying to figure all this out,
I like messing with AI, but I'm still going to do a video of me saying what's up.
I mean, there's a great mixture, but at the same time, these guys go into a marketing service and going, hey, I want this big package, and I want to be all over everything. Well, okay, well, are we going to be filming you? Are you going to be passing through the content? Oh, I don't want to be on film. Well, they're like,
also, it's going to cost $50,000. Also, it's going to cost $100,000. And they're like, shit, my equipment don't even cost that much. I can't afford this. I can't afford this. Therefore, I can't do it.
Oh man, they've got to change their mindset up, because you're selling for the work that's 2 years in front from, and 7 points of awareness. I've talked about this on traditional marketing, and I'm a ditch digger guy. I am not a marketing guy. So I have learned this through experience. It is 7 touch points on average for people even to drop down in the funnel to the consideration phase, to even think about you when there's an opportunity. Exactly. And it takes what you've said like 6 times, bro, consistently posting. I've talked to big names across our side of the industry, construction industries, other industries, tech. How did you guys do? I was doing the same thing you, man. I wanted to pick anybody's brain that was doing it. What special sauce is there? What is it? Tell me.
Yeah, I need it. There's a
post every day.
2019, I was fortunate enough to see my friend Brian Hess speak in Miami, and Brad Lee was like one of the keynotes there. Ed Milet spoke, dude. And looking back on it, it was a crazy thing for me to even be at. But Brad Lee was talking about his friend who didn't really blow up then yet, Grant Cardone. And Grant Cardone, I guess, was, Brad went up to him. He's like, dude, you are putting out so much content. He's like, my whole feed is filled with your shit, like nonstop. He's like, it's too much. And he said, Grant Cardone told him, well, then just unfollow me. You ain't going to buy shit anyways. Like that, literally, that was it. And then Brad was like, He was right. He's like, hey, yeah, he wasn't making that shit for me. What did he care what I thought? He's like, he was making it for the people I was going to buy from. He had a purpose for what he was making. So I tell people that a lot, man, when they get in our industry and they're like, hey, I want to start a podcast. Hey, I'm going to start making social media posts. I ask immediately why. Like, I want to know why. And if they say, well, that's because what everyone else is doing, that ain't good enough for me. Because that means like you haven't done any research, you're just following along here. That might not be what you need. What you might need is to hire an influencer that actually is in your area and have them make content for you or something, right? So there's a strategy that goes to it. The biggest thing that I see is a lot of, especially in the green industry, a lot of people wanted to be Blake Albertson. They wanted to be Stanley Genetic. They wanted to be Keith Kalfas for no other reason than when they walk into a lawn care show for people to be like, whoa, there he is. I'm like, dude, no one gives a shit. Like when I walk in there, no one gives a shit. Most of the time they're like, how do we get better? Right? Like, how do we get better? And that's the questions that I really love to answer. And those are the people that I love to work with and love to mentor. It's like, how do we get better? And there are people right now in my industry, in your industry, in the construction industry, in the dirt world that are trying to figure out how to get their damn phone to ring or their email to blow up because they're like 3 days from the lights going off. They're 3 days from the repo man coming to find their truck, right? And they're so tired, dude, of eating frozen pizzas and ramen noodles for their family. So when I get asked that of like, what do I do to get this phone to ring? Then all of a sudden I'm like, now we can have a conversation, right? Now I can show you what I know. I can tell you what I messed up on. My dad, he just passed away in December. He did a really good job of telling us what he did wrong. He may have never got it right, but he really did a really good job of telling us what he did wrong, which set us up for us at least being able to find out how to do it right. And that's kind of what I try to do for people myself. Now, I've had success, and I'm not a fool. I know I was tip of the spear. I know my area, I caught lightning in a bottle. I'm not a fool, but I've had a lot of conversations and done a lot of research with a lot of other contractors on how to do it well. Last year in the mix, we had 33 million views across all platforms. We're doing okay. Well, we figured it out somewhat, right? Somewhere. So, Aaron had 1 billion, right? Or whatever. I'm pretty sure he said it was 1 billion. And that's like, cool. We know what we're doing. Great. Okay. Let's start helping people figure out how to do that. Aaron's really heart set on having his generation be the next workforce for the generation above us where the boomers are going out. Herb just made that transition, right? There's going to be a lot of people following Herb. And that means that us, our version, our generation and younger, should be leading the way now that we have the reins to teach other contractors how to do it well, because I need people to put pipe under the asphalt that I'm going to be putting down. You need people to put asphalt on top of the pipe that you put down. We have to do this together or it's going to be a lot harder for us. And we went up a mountain, and when we got there, now all of a sudden there's a taller one. This one isn't as impressive as it used to be. We got to climb the big one. And it's a lot easier to do it with some Sherpas and in a group with group huddle, I think.
And that's another thing I hear all the time. Hey man, how do you find your help? It's not hard when they can see how you treat safety and how you interact with your employees and treat them and talk about them. Yes, man. And they're like, what do you mean you've got 50 applications on your website? I do. I tell them all the time, hey, I'm not hired right now. Hit the application tab on the website. I will go through them all. But to people, they're like, how does that even happen? Well, it's because I'm on their phone while they're taking a poop, and I'm on their phone when they're sitting on their couch, or I'm on their phone at 11:30 at night. But they, for some reason, Marvin, they can't put 2 and 2 together. Where do we all enjoy to spend our time? Consuming content, whether it's educational, informative, entertainment, it doesn't matter. That's how it's human nature right now. So why would you not want to put your business in that limelight to set yourself up with clientele, with employees, new opportunities? I mean, the list is endless, man.
It makes it all easier. It just does. It makes it all easier. Whether it's potential employees, whether it's partners, whether it's clients. If when they think of a topic or a thing or a need or a problem and they think of you or your company, you're doing it right. And there are companies that have done that using social media marketing. I don't know any other way to do it. I see a lot of billboards here in Nashville, a ton, right? And I know they're lawyers, but I don't know the names of them yet, right? I see them, I don't know the names of them yet. But there is a realtor around here, Mark Spain, and son of a gun if I don't know that guy, right? And I know him because I see his billboards, but then I also see him advertising at the Predators Arena, but then I also see him on my cell phone about every day, right? I know that guy because awkwardly he's touching me those 7 times like you were talking about, right? Through the time, I know that's what I'm going to call, bro. At least I know if I need a realtor, if somebody's sitting across from me and they're like, hey, I need a realtor, I'm moving to Nashville. I'm like, you should look at Mark Spain. Who else am I going to tell them? I don't know anybody else, right? So
it's so accurate, though.
Yeah, it's just there's an easy way to do it, and I think the old way is what people were used to with Pepsi, Nike, Pizza Hut, right? You'd see it in a magazine, hear it on the radio, see it in a Super Bowl ad, see a billboard for it, drive by one, and that's how you would get your touches. The problem with that now is that if you're a contractor, blue collar contractor, or if you're one of those businesses, the problem is that is such a small amount of visibility compared to the social media side. So therefore, there's a place right here next door called Mama Yang and Daughter, and they make dumplings here. And I love their shit. But it's because I follow them on Instagram is how I know what they're having, what they're doing. But there's huge, decent chain restaurants around here that are going under. Because they don't have anything cool to show. There's no specialty thing about them. You don't feel like you're in on a secret or you're part of the culture or you don't know the people. I know that the lady behind that counter, her name is Grace, right? When I walk in, she says, hey, Marvin. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm going there. I don't give a shit how good Pizza Hut is right here. I don't care what it is. I'm going to see Grace and her family. I'm having some damn good dumplings.
And it's a testament to that. New York Turk. I don't know if you know that channel on TikTok. He's blowing up right now, but it's a New York cab driver who literally brought a duffel bag with him to work one day, and he would drop his guests off at this one restaurant all the time. And so one day he unzipped his duffel bag and threw his nice clothes on him for lunch, went in and paid, and into this Michelin star steakhouse. Well, dude has now millions of followers. And there's a little Greek, this was just over the weekend, this tiny little Greek restaurant. Nobody was there when he walked in, and literally nobody. And he sat there and he had souvlaki and just, I had a Greek friend growing up. I love the Greek culture and the food. And he's sitting there and he's looking at his baklava and he eats it all 5 out of 5 and he scores it and he goes to some of the most prestigious Michelin star. Now they know him as soon as he walks. It's the New York Turk. It's him. And all the chefs that you never even see come out. But that little Greek corner store, strip mall restaurant, he gave perfect scores. He goes back 3 days later and they have a standing line out the door. The power, everybody understands the power of social media, but they don't understand that they can use it and harness it for themselves in whatever type of business they are. Just start creating content. It doesn't have to be good. Just like Marvin said, my first 8 episodes of this show that we did ourselves were terrible on every front, but it's what we knew. We didn't know any better. We knew it wasn't Joe Rogan. We knew it wasn't any of these major podcasts, but we started. When I started with YouTube, it was literally grabbing my wife's hand, go to the garage, stand there. I'm sticking my phone on my truck, and we're going to tell the world who we are, and we're going to start showing the behind the scenes of commercial construction and the struggles that we go through. And here we are, dude. It's just starting. It's not like there's some hidden key you've got to stick in a lock.
Yeah, I was telling somebody that the other day that, they always ask for advice. I'm like, just start. Right. And they're like, well, I've got this fear with the camera turning around, doing whatever. I'm like, you're scared you're going to get embarrassed. Like, yeah. I was like, do you cross the street at all when it snows? Like, yeah. I'm like, you fall on your ass right then and there. Guess what? You're going to be embarrassed. You have a chance of being embarrassed at any moment. You used to sit next to some people on a plane sometimes. You have a chance of being embarrassed at any moment. So I think the biggest thing is just getting started. And to be honest with you, when I think about the internet and I think about social media, I started kind of what I would consider when it first started in 2013. That means we're only 10, 12 years into it. It's probably just starting. How long have we drove automobiles around? A long damn time. We haven't changed that yet. This is probably something that's not going to change, even though the way that it's done will change, right? We're driving Teslas now, and they're going a lot faster than the 12 mile an hour Model A's, but it's still, the crux of it is this is how it's going to be done and how it needs to be done. And there's just numerous advantages.
As you know, the best point to have started was when you did 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. The second best chance to start is today, man, right now. Get your phones out. It doesn't have, you have the power of it in your phone. You don't have to go pay this crazy marketing service. Hey, do it. If you want them to do it all for you, I promise you, you pay enough money, they will do it all for you. There's no doubt about it. But you can, from your pocket, start today. You're not going to have 1 million followers tomorrow, and your first video is not going to get any views, or it may blow up. And that's the other thing that Gary Vee talks about all the time. You're one piece of content from changing your life.
That's what made me start doing it. When he said that, he said, I know for 100% fact that if you don't do it, you'll never blow up. Like, it'll never happen. I know that for a fact. He said, at least if you're doing it, you have a shot of it happening.
And to your point again, dude, earlier, it's not about blowing up. You've got to have a solid purpose. My purpose was, oh man, I'm really struggling at business and I'm leading my people and I've got to do better and I can't find a resource that directly impacts me. Let's create one. And that's where that passion comes from. Nobody on the YouTube side of things, every single convention and every meeting or whatever I go to, it's less and less pipe guys, and they're older and older. Man, you don't meet mid-30s pipe guys or mid-30s asphalt guys that have done it for a decade, man. You just don't anymore. And so if we don't really drive it home and get some of these 25 and 50-year companies to buy into what we're doing and going, man, that's pretty impactful. Maybe we should have Cy come over here and explain our big 11-mile pipe job. Just like you said earlier, it may not be having to get it off the ground from nothing, because I know most of you are listening. You know, one of the toughest thing you've ever done in your life is bringing a business off the ground. But essentially, that's what you're doing again. So reach out to some people, just like Marvin said. He drove from freaking Wisconsin to Tennessee to talk with Aaron, and I've drove ridiculously a long ways to be in the same room with the same person to be able to ask that question, but we get the same response every time, Marvin, and it's consistently post. You want to speed it up? Post more.
There's a couple ways that people get attracted to our industry through social media. One is these real cool success stories, storytelling content that gets there, whether it's Aaron doing it, myself, yourself, or whatever. The second are these young bucks that went to trade school that are on TikTok, and the very first thing I see is their jacked up GMC, AT4 with underlighting and big ass wheels, and they got a bomb. They got a bombshell sitting in there, and they're on the lake wakeboard and everything. I'm like, these boys are bringing more people into the trades than it probably trade schools, keynote speakers, everybody. I'm like, show more. Just keep showing more of these young bucks that have $100,000 trucks. Bring them on. Bring me the templates. Bring me the TikTok templates. Let's do it, because they're attracting people to the trades more and more and more. That's our job when they get there, to prepare them for the rest of their career, I feel like, in the most way.
Yeah. Well, I truly... You have been, what a conversation. It's just crazy to sit back and just truly think about, man, what if I didn't start? where would I be if I didn't start? And I sit here and I think like, man, that'd be brutal. Looking back, I'm like, don't get me wrong, struggled hardcore, 6 to 12 months of, man, I think, oh man, I can't sit across from that guy. That guy's staring at me because he saw me post this and that and this and that. I mean, we all go through that, and you're going to go through that, but you're eventually going to get over it because those people aren't probably rendering your service anyways, to be honest with you. They just want to talk.
Betty White had a quote that I seen early on too, and she said, in 60 years, no one's going to give a shit what you did right now. So just do it. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, that's a good one for old Betty White. I'll take that one.
Blue Collar Performance Marketing's passion is to bring attention to the honest work done in blue-collar industries through effective, results-driven marketing tactics. They specialize in comprehensive digital marketing services from paid advertising on Google and Facebook to website development and content strategy. I started working with Ike and the team earlier this year, and they've had a huge impact on our specific marketing campaign and trajectory of our overall company. Their expertise in digital ad management, website development, social media, and overall marketing strategy has been an absolute game changer for our sales and marketing at Sycon. If you're looking to work with a marketing team who does what they say, does it well, and is always looking for ways to help your company grow, book a discovery call with Ike by going to bcperformancemarketing.com/BCB podcast or click the link in the show notes /description below. Thanks, guys. Man, nobody better to ask, man, but as you were standing on the back of that, raking out that apron and that mat, talk to that Marvin that was just absolutely sick and tired of being stuck in the mud. Every blue collar gets there mentally, physically, and emotionally. I ask everybody on this show, what's a piece of advice for them to get out of that mindset or emotional mindset?
Yeah, I think the biggest part is that it totally can be you. Like it can be you. And there's people who I think that it can't be them, or they don't have this, or they don't have that, but it totally can be you. Like, and you just got to do it. You just got to jump and do it. And I think that's the biggest hindrance. A lot of people, we live in a world, Si, where people are looking at other people all the time and comparing themselves to them. So when they self-reflect, whether they're in the mirror or they're in bed, they see themselves falling short of an image that society has put in front of them of what a successful person looks like. And it's a complete fabrication, right? When you get to the end of it, the most successful people were people who just were like, yeah, it can be me. I'm going to do it. And I just went and did it. And that's mainly, I tell myself, I wish I just would have did it sooner. Thankfully, I caught onto it a little bit, just in time. But I really wish I would have did it sooner. My son and I talk a lot about social media and telling your story and whatnot. He's 14. He's got the best timing in the world, man. He's going to be able to tell a full story before he even gets into the workforce. So I'm really excited about where the future goes. I get happy when I get to hear people talk about the past and the journey that's been on there as well. And I think for me, it's the biggest thing is just, it can be you. It totally can be you. Who you want to be is absolutely achievable. It can totally be you.
That's perfect, dude. I appreciate your time, buddy. I appreciate everything that you do on, the black mat side of the conversation of the industry, sure. Because I don't want anything to do with that poor mat, buddy. I am out. And I know it is. And down here in Arkansas in July and August, I look at those guys, I'm like, oh, boys, I'm so sorry, But at the same time, buddy, what a great conversation. And I truly hope today, guys, enlightened you in some way, some fashion. If you haven't heard us say it about 7 times, just start and reach out to Marvin, reach out to myself. We will respond. As Marvin knows, Marvin reached out to me. Hey, Marvin, oh, dude, you're the guy. Let's talk. We should. Why? Because our industry and our community freaking needs to see it. They need to see us going, oh, let's sit down and have conversations. 2 different podcasts, collabing. Cool. And so go check out In the Mix, dude. Guys, Marvin's got a plethora of knowledge from actually doing it from the ground up. And dude, I hope to continue to laugh at the memes and the templates, because they're hilarious. Because being blue collar, I get it a little bit. It's very asphalt driven.
There's a good crossover though.
Yeah,
yeah. You can just click the use template and make it into something for pipe or excavating easily.
Where can, other than the podcast, where can folks find you, man?
Yeah, man. If you type in my name on Google, you're going to find any and everywhere. If you type in themixmj.com in your search bar, you'll find our website there. We got a newsletter that comes out every month. LinkedIn, you just type in Marvin Joles, you'll find me in the mix on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. You'll find us there. Yeah, the podcast is available everywhere. That Cy Kirby's Blue Collar Business Podcast is likely available. So there's plenty for your consuming out there in this world of everything that we do as well. Otherwise, man, you just stay in contact with me. Like Cy said, I'll reach out. We reply to DMs, emails, whatever. I mean, we don't turn anybody away, man. We just try to help out whoever we can, however we can.
Dude, because that's what it's about. And that's that purpose we both share and the same message we share, man. Truly, thank you so much for your time, brother, and what you do for this industry. And if you guys didn't hear us, we're going to be at ConExpo, so let us know. Be looking for that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Check the socials under the Blue Collar page and Sycon. It'll let you know where we're at. Find Marvin while you're out there. You'll see a picture of us at some point. We've got to cross paths at some point out there. And guys, until next week, you guys be safe out there. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to give it a like, share it with the fellers, check out our website to send us any questions and comments about your experience in the blue collar business. Who do you want to hear from? Send them our way, and we'll do our best to answer any questions you may have. Till next time, guys.